Hey y'all! Today I want to talk about what it means to be a circulator. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, and so here it is. Specifically, I want to be talking about my experiences, how I first started to now where I'm at, and what you guys can do to become a circulator. But mostly, this is just going to be like a thought dump of my experiences and what I think being a good circulator is like. And with that, video starts. um, what is a circulator? I guess is a question I should answer first before we go into my experiences and stuff like that. So, being a circulator is basically you take a jurith of oath and you are circulating a petition. You get some type of cause that you believe in or that you're interested in, and you go around asking for signatures. All a circulator is a person who collects signatures. And you just make sure, they're for whatever the petition criteria is. You just go around, collect the signatures, and then, you know, you're done. That's basically all it is. You do take a juror oath depending on whether it's a charter or it's a petition. Depends on whether you need it to get notarized or not, and that's a whole different thing. But boiling it down, all a circulator is a person who collects signatures for a petition. Now, my experiences when going into this, I specifically went in through the FixSAPD for being a circulator for that petition for chapters 143 and 174. As you guys should know, because that is the whole reason I made that video, was to educate people on those chapters and stuff like that, and hopefully inform the public and let them know, hey, this is going on, can you sign this please. But before all of that, before I even thought of that video or any of that stuff, I jumped in with the notion of, well, police accountability. It's straightforward and stuff like that. I jumped in with the notion that I'm probably not going to get any Republicans or Trump supporters to back this. That this is a completely radical idea because the world was just so crazy at the time. And I honestly was like, I don't know. I'll ask a few friends of mine. I'll ask a few people and stuff like that. And I'll just, I went in it kind of like blind, but kind of expecting one particular person. I expected like liberals to be like, or Democrats to be like the only people to sign this. And so it was an interesting mindset. So I was like, when I first started off, talking to people about it, I knew a little bit about the information, stuff like that, because I was a little bit of a part of it, but I didn't know it in full detail. And so for me, it was just kind of like, do you support police accountability? Cool, here you go. Do you support police? No, okay, bye bye. That was my mindset. Um, it wasn't until later where I was on the election cycle that uh, I did that, and I got a lot of no's, and I got a lot of no's from people that I didn't expect, and I got a lot of yeses from people I didn't expect. Literally on my first day, and then a few days after. So it was weird because there was a lot of Trump supporters like, yeah, I have an experience. This is my personal experience. Oh, a cop shot and killed my best friend. I'm gonna sign. And it was a lot of Republicans and Trump supporters that were supporting this petition and stuff like that. Some of them did it for certain reasons, like they wanted to abolish the union. Some of them did it because they had a personal experiences, and some of them didn't sign. Some of them were just like, no, we need to back our blue, we need to back our police, and so on and so forth. We don't feel like they need to be held accountable. Some people, what shocked me is some people were like, nah, I feel like they should murder everyone. And I'm like, whoa, dude, chill. Not everyone deserves to die. But I also got like a lot of Black Lives Matter people and liberals and stuff like that saying that some of them were like, you're not going far enough, and this is dumb, and they didn't want to sign for those reasons. Some of them just didn't want to sign out of either fear that they were going to get harassed, or they just didn't want to sign in general and just didn't give me a reason. It was very confusing too, because you like when you go up to a door, you see like, oh yeah, we support Black Lives Matter, we support police accountability, I completely support this cause, I still don't want to sign. We're just like, so so you'll publicly go, this is my little rant. It's like so you'll publicly be like, yeah, you'll say all these things, but when it comes to actual policy and action, it's a no. um and and looking at it that way, from that perspective, because that's how I was looking at it, I was looking at it like, what is wrong with you? This is something that you should be supporting because your beliefs align with this, and yet you still say no. um or you feel like it's not going far enough. It's like, well, what extreme end do we have to go to for it to be far enough, you know? And it was interesting seeing all these different perspectives and sides. And so I started asking people, like, well, okay, why do you not support this? Like, I don't like, I literally would put the petition down, or I'd put the petition aside, and I'd be like, listen, I don't care if you sign in or not. I want to know why. What about this makes you not want to sign? What like, is it the accountability part, is it the police part and stuff like that? And of course, again, like normal, the answers would vary from person to person, and it didn't seem like what I previously thought, and from what I know, a lot of people, what they think when they post on social media and stuff like that is, well, you're doing this because you're racist, you're doing this because you're this or that, you're doing this because of this or that, you know, you're trying to, you signed this petition because you're, you know, you back the blue, or it's like, you signed this petition because you don't back the blue, and all this other stuff, right? You know, we tend to choose sides when we try to be teams, like, oh, you're a liberal, you're a Democrat, you're a conservative, you're this or you're that. And what I saw when I was out petitioning is the complete opposite of all of that. I would find Democrats that would, you know, totally support this. Even a few friends of mine and stuff like that who were like on social media arguing with people when I asked them to sign, or when I asked them to participate. Some of them were like, well, how much money does it give me? Or it's like, oh, what is like I don't feel comfortable sharing that, or I don't feel comfortable signing that and stuff like that. Which was weird, because like, they were the people I thought would sign. Now, some of them did sign, some of them did join, and I'm grateful for those people. For the people who didn't sign or didn't join or any of that stuff, I mean, I don't hate them, because I can understand why. And it got into when I started asking the questions. Some people just felt uncomfortable giving their information out because they either thought we were a scammer, they thought that we might use it for nefarious reasons. There was a lot of distrust in the community, and a lot, like, in, I'm not talking about my friends now, I'm just talking about the community at large. Like, when I would walk around, they didn't seem like comfortable. They didn't, well, one, they didn't know me, they didn't know who I was, and two, they didn't know anything, they didn't even know these laws existed. So for all I know, I could have been anybody trying to get anything off of them. But like, for some people it was like, well, you know, this is what I think, and this is what I think we should do. And I started to realize, as I talked to more people, where people were like, well, we should abolish the union entirely. Well, we should, well, I feel like this is not, this is too extreme for me, and this is this and this is that, because they didn't really understand what I was asking them. Some people wanted to kill me over it. I remember there was two instances. So one was where I was walking around, and I was just going from door to door to door, and I saw these two people talking, and I was like, okay, well, it's 9 o'clock at night, I'm going back home. Let me just see if I can talk to these two. And I just said, hey, how's it going? They're like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, we're neighbors. And I'm like, oh yeah, you guys are cool and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, you guys register to vote? They're like, yeah. And then I said, oh, would you like to sign this petition? It's for police accountability. First thing that comes out of the guy's mouth, in front of his neighbor, and she was just standing right there, and he's all like, I'm a police officer, and fuck you guys for doing what you do and all your lies and da 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 da. You better move before something happens. And I was all like, whoa. And I had half a thought to like literally just try and have a conversation with him, but his neighbor, she was like starting to cuss me out, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk away. And so I walked away, and that was a crazy experience. Another one was I was at a poll site, and the the guy over there was basically cursing me out, and I got it from quite a few people, but one guy decided to really like hammer home that I was the devil and that I should die. And that was pretty interesting as well. Some other people just told me to move along, or else they'll get really mad and they don't know what they'll do. And I'm like, oh. I highly recommend when you are a circulator, if you ever do work an election, a polling site or whatever, get to know your security guard, get to know your poll worker, and get to know the main judge of the poll site, so you can talk to them, look at them, and be like, hey, listen, this is what I'm here for. Establish yourself, let them know who you are, and stuff like that. And if you can, try to befriend them. Like, they're really cool people. Some of the best people I met were other petitioners for other causes or other campaign people, or like some of the judges were cool, the poll workers were awesome, and some of the best people I met were the security guards. So that was really good. Get to know them, because they will have your back. They will if they see something, and they know who you are, and they know you're not there to mess up what their job is to do, they will come up and be like, what is going on, what has happened. Because they will always look at it from the lens of, okay, I know you're not a troublemaker, so did you, like, what happened, what was the misunderstanding, and they will tend to work with you. So the so yeah, so I started asking these questions, and I started doing more research onto, because I knew the general strokes, but I had never read the actual raw documents themselves. I had never gone into the articles or details. And as a circulator, I highly recommend you do this for whatever cause you are supporting. Mainly because, one, it'll get you more signatures, because people like it when you know what you're talking about. And two, it just makes things easier, because once you know what the document is and stuff like that, once you know what you're actually dealing with within its context, you can start to develop your own speech, or develop your own way of saying things and informing people. You can actually make that connection a lot easier and a lot better than if you were to just do whatever the organization or stuff that's telling you to do, because then you're just repeating what they're saying. And if someone asks you questions, you're kind of up a paddle, because if they've done their research, they will be like, well, these are the things that are problematic. So you always want to do the research. You always want to get with the organization and get with whatever you're petitioning, and understand what their message is clearly, and what the documents actually are, and then learning how to answer those questions from the other perspective. But yeah, so I started doing this research, and I started asking people questions, and that's where kind of the initial idea came from to make the video. That wasn't the sole idea. That was just like, I didn't even realize I was making the groundwork for that. So I spent 3 weeks studying all of that stuff, and then I started telling people, I'm like, okay, here, and then I'd ask them a question, and then they'd say, well, this is my concern, and then I'd answer it saying, like, well, that's not how it is, or it actually works this way, or the problems with this are the fact that we aren't allowed to, like, look at their history or record, or so on and so forth. These are the subsections, these are the issues, and these subsections are the reasons why we can't do what you're proposing. Because some people would be like, well, I wish they would do this, and I'm like, well, this is why they can't do this. And they're like, well, yeah, they can also do this. I'm like, yeah, but also they can also do this and these things and these other criteria. And so it gave me a broader understanding, and I was able to talk to more people. Funny enough, I was able to connect with some retired police officers, military, and even active police officers who signed with me and had general conversations with me. In fact, one of them was actually on the final day of election. One of the people because I voted on the first day, one of the people I actually voted for Precinct 4, showed up. And she showed up with her she showed up with her whole police crew. It was about 5 of them. I think it was like 4 or 5. Um, and whatnot. And so they asked us what they were doing. I got to take pictures with them. And then I asked them if they would sign, and they did. We actually ended up having a whole conversation about the 180-day limit and the fact that, it's not enough time for a police officer to do an investigation on another police officer, and so on and so forth. And we just got into details about the contract and some clarifications. When I talked to him, he's like, well, those issues are a lot worse than you thought because of this, 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 and this. And I was like, oh, I thought this meant this, 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 and this, but it turns out it's inferred into this. And it was a very insightful conversation, and it made me realize that there are, people out there who do care, who do the research. I actually, when I talked to a lot of people were skeptical, so they wanted to read the raw documents for themselves. So they would actually on the spot pull up the documents and read them, and we would have a conversation, and they would ask me questions about this, and this has not stopped to this day. Unfortunately, they don't leave any comments on YouTube, but when I talk to them in person and stuff like that, they tend to ask me a whole lot of questions, and then they're just like, nope, everything, we're good. And I'm like, cool. And it's a wonderful experience. The other thing is if you know what you're talking about and you have the information, people will defend you. By surprise, I was surprised about how many people actually stood up for me, making me avoid conflict because they were the ones who decided to step in. And a few of those are again, I was working at this polling place, and it was really cool. Some police officers from the union decided to show up and harass me. And they were basically out there, waving their signs and just basically telling them that this was like defund, that this is like a terrible thing, and you're destroying police by doing this. And, we were trying to tell them, no, it's not. The petition isn't even a vote. It doesn't repeal anything. The petition itself is just a ballot initiative. It just gets on the ballot. And we were trying to inform that. And there was the writing on there. I was talking to people. I was asking people, but they were yelling in their ear, in their face. And voters actually got very upset. Because after a while, they would talk with me, and they'd read the information, and then I would tell them and answer the questions, because lucky for me, I read all the documents and stuff like that, so I had answers. And they would turn back at them and be like, what is wrong with you? Why are you saying these lies? It says right here on the paper that it's only a ballot initiative. And it's not defunding if it is for 2 chapter laws, because they would do the research themselves. They'd pull it up on the phone. And I didn't have the video at the time. I was doing my general speech of, hey, these are the chapter laws and da-da-da-da-da. Which I don't even remember anymore at this point. It was long. Election weeks was long. Early election and the actual election was a rough 3 weeks. But they because of that experience, they would be like, hey, listen, what you're saying is not true, and da 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 da, and voters would actually turn around. I don't think police like being told they're wrong or that they're telling lies, because more of them started to show up, and some of them showed up armed, and some of them showed up in civilian clothing armed. And they would show up with their guns and all this other stuff like that, and they were protesting, and they were eyeballing me. and a total of 8 of them actually showed up. And that sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. But holy crap. I am so glad I have we have video footage and pictures, and I have witnesses that were there. So I know it was a crazy time. I say amazing because I was shocked at the community standing up and defending me. For getting in fact, people started to just ignore them and just ask to sign the petition. They were just like, don't even need to know. I had the security guard who was like, yo, do you want me to tell them to go? And I said, they have their right. Turns out they weren't supposed to do that, but they did anyway. But I didn't know that at the time. I actually tried to have a civil conversation But they would only yell fake news at me. And at some point there was just no civil discourse. I tried to be like, hey, listen, let's talk about this. Let's talk about these laws. I did research on this, and stuff like that. And they would either yell fake news or no, that's wrong. And I would ask them, well, how is this wrong? And they wouldn't explain it. They would just say it's wrong. It protects the process. How does it protect the process? It protects the how though? Like, it was one of those like conversations where it's all like, okay, I'm pulling up codes and stuff like that. I need you to tell me. We need to have a conversation. But yeah, so it was crazy. The other times, and this is why I say it's important to get to know your security guard, is because security let me know actually and asked me if they wanted me to leave. Not because I did anything wrong, but they said there was a truck circulating the parking lot, and they actually had to tell them to leave. And there was a few times where they would message me or they would let me know and say, hey, there were some people trying to look for you or stuff like that, and we didn't tell them where you were or anything like that, but we just want to let you know because we want to make sure you're safe, and we know what you're doing like is dangerous. So it was crazy that I like garnered this much attention and these experiences, and I'm so grateful to both the security guards that I happened to get to know and work with. I was so happy for the campaigners who are out there with me. You guys know who you are if you're watching this video. Thank you so much. You guys are beautiful, amazing, and you guys will know this. You are awesome 100%. That's actually where that phrase came from. I would actually say that after everyone signed up, like, you are awesome 100%. And I didn't even know I was saying it. It was just something I would say. And they're like, oh, there goes his catchphrase. And I'm like, what catchphrase? And they're like, awesome 100%. I'm like, I don't say that. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And then I'd catch myself. They'd be like, oh yeah, by the way, I brought you this. I'm like, oh, you're awesome 100%. I'm like, ah! Yeah, so that's where that came from. And so when I made the video, because at some point I was doing this, and one of the people who were signing was like, you have to say a lot. Like, have you thought about shortening it? Or they're like, the other person was like, you know what you should do? You should record all of that, and that way you could just play it back on your phone and just be like, hey, listen to this. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think I'll make a video on YouTube. That way I can just have people on YouTube watch it, and then they can sign. Because the lines were kind of like, they went fast, but they could always like watch it, and then after they vote, they can come out and they can sign it. And yeah, that's how it worked. So I started making the video, and I made it. I uploaded it. It didn't work the way I wanted it to. I wanted like some of the stuff to be highlighted and stuff like that, but I was using my laptop at the time, and it could only handle so much. So I was like, oh, well, this is the best I could do it. Upload it, because it crashed so many times. So I got it uploaded, and that's what happened. I think it was 133 people watched it and signed with me, because yeah, that was on the very first day I uploaded it, because I literally uploaded it, and then I went out, and then I'm like, here, watch this video, bye. And then they would just come and find me, and they'd be like, I want to sign, and I was like, oh, that was awesome. It was so empowering, because it was like one of those things where like an idea came to fruition, it had a purpose, and it did its purpose. And yeah, that's part. I'm still proud of that video to this day, because of the amount of signatures I was able to get because of it, and because it was something that the community saw, got informed, and they learned something new about their city, and that was awesome. Yeah. So in general, those are like my basic experiences, all of the good and the bad. But overall, I don't regret a thing. It was amazing. It was A lot of fun. I love circulating. There were days where I would get tired or like I would run myself ragged because I'd be doing it for like 14 hours straight every single day, no nonstop. On top of me trying to stream and all that other stuff. Um, but it was just so it was so awesome. I had so much fun with it, and I hope if you're watching this, you will become a circulator as well. Ways you can do that are you can go to Texas Tool Belt is the one I went through, but find whatever organization you're interested in, or like whatever your local city laws are or petitions are going down. Find a petition or find something you want to change, and then if they've gained enough fundraising, they can go through an organization where you can become a circulator. But you don't need to go through an organization to become a circulator. You just have to have a petition, a law, an ordinance, something that you want to do, and circulate and talk to people about it. If you're passionate about it, it will happen. It's amazing. Like just a few days ago, we announced that 174 is on going to be on the ballot. We got the signatures, we got the petition, and I had some small part in that, and it was awesome. So yeah, I highly recommend it. This is a great way to advocate for something. Is being a circulator. It's a great way to inform people. If you haven't already, if you're new to this, check out that video. In addition, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this. I know it's just me talking and stuff like that, but I hope you got some value out of this. I don't know how coherent it is. I don't know how it's going to look after it's edited, but I hope you guys enjoyed what I had to say about all of this. And yeah, if over here is something that YouTube recommends that you'll like, over here is my most recent video, and right here is where you can subscribe. So yeah, give this video a like, share it, and I'll see you guys next time. Be awesome, 100%. Bye.